All right, we're here with Coach Clint Mylymok. Coach, good to see you. Heck of a season for you so far to start off with. It's amazing to believe we're 10 games in, almost a third of the way through the season.
Yeah, the new season came up pretty quick after last year's playoffs, and then yeah, I saw every year's like that. You're like, oh, we're going here, and then the first 10 games did happen quick. The showcase always kind of you get 4 done in a hurry. All of a sudden you're at 6. So, but yeah, happy with the start. Obviously, we still have some work to do and some player transactions, and we got to solidify a roster a bit. But it's not the fun time of year when you have to let kids go and make moves, but part of the process, and most of our kids end up in the home, which is the important part.
When you look at the short turnaround that we had, it's a good thing to have, but is it stressful for you to know that right after one season ends, you got to think about the next season? There's not really a break in between.
That starts now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at guys for next year. It's the GM side of it, and our scouts. Like, we meet every week. We have a conference call or a Zoom call, and so not really. Like, we're preparing for next year right now, and as we focus on this year. So it's a balancing act, and you got to be careful of not being stuck too much on one or the other. But it's a good distraction too. Sometimes you're focused on this year's. I need to get on to next year and see where we're at with players. Some kids that are starting off really well that have maybe been to our main camp, or guys that we have eyes on to tender, and so it keeps it pretty busy. But we have a process that we've done every year, and it seems to work, so we're sticking with it.
And it looks like you guys have depth for days. I mean, you have a lot of injuries in there, but there's a next man up mentality right now. How do you navigate through that depth when everyone starts to be healthy and everyone starts coming in and out of that lineup?
Well, I guess if you look at the long term and the positives, like, if there are kids that aren't here, they're an asset. And you hate to sit there and they're not pieces of meat to us. Like, they're kids and people, and we don't like always talking about that. But in the end, if we can move someone to get something in return, and keep building up draft picks and tenders, that's part of the process too. And as long as we find a kid a place to play, I think that's important. But it's never easy. I mean, it's a daily routine of evaluating our players, rating them, seeing who's a good fit, who can we maybe make a move and get something for, and keep another kid. It's a constant balancing act at all levels, really, and asset management is a thing, and it's really important to know that we have the right types of players here that can help us and maybe help themselves find a new spot by how they play here too.
We look at this past weekend against Danbury, 2 straight shutouts for your team, almost a turning point. The start of the season has been good, 7-2-1, but some slow starts here. Do you think this weekend could be a nice jumping off point to what you need throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, we identified that our first periods need to be better, and every team's different. Like, it's some teams you get off like gangbusters in the first, and you slow down, and you got to work on your third. So it's a balancing act again of what our personnel is, and how we try and overcome maybe that. Hey, we got to have a better start, and sometimes you got to give credit to the other teams too, especially the goaltending in this league is so good. But right now the pattern is slow starts, good second, and really good thirds. So I don't mind the pattern as long as we win, and every period kind of has writes its own kind of script, and right now it's kind of been consistent, which at least we know these are things we have to focus on, and it's still early. Like, it may flip in a month, who knows.
You have a lot of kids coming back, a lot of returning players. One of those being Kareem El-Bashir, who just committed to Army, and a guy who almost seems like he's following the footsteps of someone like Dimitri Kieber, who was a role player, third-line guy, bottom six guy, being a grit guy last year. This year, really turning on his offensive there. Is that something that you've kind of instilled in the players? If you're going to be here for a couple years, we're going to get you in the grit first, and then we'll get you into your talent second?
Well, I mean, some guys step right in. Hunter Ramos went right to scoring role with some guys, and so everyone's kind of different. Hunter had his battles too, but the one thing he did, he scored, and so it's pretty valuable. And Kareem's doing the same thing. And I guess we look at players and try and figure out where they fit in. And for him, he didn't do it the easy way. He had to earn his spot. And I think there's a turning point around November, December, when he started showing signs of maturity as a player, not as a person. He's very mature, but as like just building his game and understanding what the coaches wanted. But he did a good job, figuring out what we wanted, asking questions, and you saw it in his play. Now he's got confidence, and we have had confidence in him. And And then this year has been such a quick rise, but it's not surprising to us because, we saw so much of what he do in practice, like his skating, his scoring abilities, and our comment was always, this kid's going to be a player for us. He's a player now, and he'll help us in playoffs and help us go on a run, but he's also, for his second year, he's ready to take that next step. So we're not surprised. The one thing he does, and very similar to Dimitri, is they don't get caught up with the sideshows or the antics by other teams who try and get on their nerves or trying to hit them. Like, they fight through it. They just go, and that's really valuable because some guys, you play them tough and they fold or they talk to refs and they get distracted. They don't get distracted. They just their way of getting back on you is scoring, which is important, and they just work so hard. But I give him a lot of credit because he came in needing to put on weight and get stronger and a stronger shot, and we gave him a game plan in the summer and said, here are things you need to do, and he did it to a T. And he came in a different player to the fact where guys who knew him that came back to like, this guy's putting in some work, and so all the credit goes to him. He's very coachable. He's a worker, but he's also very talented.
Looking ahead to New Jersey this weekend, always a bitter rivalry between you guys, back and forth, very close games. What's the game plan ahead of us? Kind of taking that momentum from Danbury from last weekend into this weekend.
Just build. Like, we never say when. We just say, hey, our process needs to get better, and we need to follow it better and keep working on it, so we can keep evolving and building the next step of our process. Like, we have a game plan in place, and we're not there yet. The good news is that I think we do have some talent, and we have kids work. It's a very hard-working team, but we're still building, and the goal is to get better within our process this week, and then add to it, and add some new steps to it, and keep building, and like we did last year, the same thing. And I think we have a good group where they're showing signs of that. We're not there yet, but we're taking steps, and our leadership group has done a really good job.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you.